This is For the Creators.
Hey everybody, welcome back to For the Creators. This is part 2 of our episode with Alex Manzi. If you haven't listened to part 1, please go back to listen to the last episode. We're going to dive right back in to this episode. Also, there's one day left to get tickets for Alex's live show at thedreamersdisease.co.uk/tickets.
I say it all the time, become the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Or start to become the best version of yourself.
Mm.
And it's all about looking internally, man. That's the super deep part. It's about looking internally. Like, if you don't look inside yourself, how are you ever going to know what you're made of? And I had this other metaphor, which was, I think, one of the best metaphors I've come up with, right? So it's like, we look at everything we've got externally to like hold us together. But when those external things start to crack or wobble, the whole thing falls apart. Whereas if you look internally and you have a really strong foundation and solid base, it doesn't matter what happens to that external shell, that external world. It might get cracks, it might get holes, it might get damaged. Your foundation is so strong within yourself, it won't affect you as much. It's not going to crumble, it's not going to fall.
Exactly.
It might get damaged, it might get, scratched, or it might get whatever. It might get a chip taken out of it, but the foundation remains intact. Whereas if it's the other way around and you haven't got that strong foundation, the second that outside shell gets like an egg, the second that outside shell gets a knock or a scratch, I think the whole thing just shatters everywhere and it's all over the floor. So it's like, it's about looking at things in that way. And that's been so powerful for me.
I think, I've come to a similar conclusion with that. And it's a very stoic philosophy approach. And that's basically you being the consistent. So whatever happens, because of the qualities that you have within, whatever situation you put yourself in, that you're in, you're right, because you don't value the externals, it's internal. And there's such a level of peace and lightness that you get because of that. With what you're pursuing now, because it's coming from that place, has it been a bit easier than other things that you've pursued?
I don't know if easy is the right word, because what is easy, right? Then that's I know that sounds like such a hippie-ish thing to say, but it's easier in the sense that I have more clarity and I'm a lot more sure about it, and I'm a lot more infused by it, and I'm not infused by it by the potential outcomes and earnings and the big things, and who knows, in 10 years I might be on the world's biggest stage talking to 20,000 people in an arena. It's not about that. It's about actually the positive impact that it has along the way. And I think for me that's the big difference, right? Do you know what I mean? It's if you're looking at the outward things all the time, or you're chasing the money, or you're chasing the whatever it is, you're going about it the wrong way. Because at the end of the day, when the times do get hard along that road of building up your own brand or business, that's not easy. But it becomes easier because you really want it and you really love it and you're really into it and it's really what you want and it's really what you believe in. And that's where it becomes easier. Not easy, because I don't believe in easy. But easier. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Very good distinction. Very good. Yeah, I think it's going to be massive, man, because it's coming from the right place.
Yeah, 100%. And and do you know what? It's opened up new avenues for me in terms of not just people I'm meeting or things that I'm doing or experiences I'm having, but just creatively as well. It's I've started a second podcast, which is a football podcast. Because me and my friend Uche, all we do is talk about football shirts. So we decided that it'd be a good idea to record the conversations basically and give it a bit of a format. So the Retro Football Shirt podcast is basically us talking about retro football shirts and reminiscing about the times and the eras and the players of those things. But that would never have come out of me unless I had this sense of self-awareness and knowing and, feeling assured about what I'm trying to build, long-term with Dreamer's Disease and my personal brand or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. And I think it's because you're now in a place of freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we'll be in a week.
Yeah. It'll be a complete freedom, right? And it's like a positive feedback loop because you started Dreamer's Disease. You now know you can do podcasts. Then more ideas come to you. It's like, oh, why can't this be a podcast? Rather you having that barrier to entry, for, like if there was the first one, but like, oh, we have to get equipment, we have to work out how to do it, blah, blah, blah. Now it's just like, let's record and go. And you don't know what's coming around the corner. It's almost like, I likened it to, because you was asking if I went through a similar like transition period. And for me, I always felt like I know what my goal is. I always get there. But always felt like I could see the destination, like the island, and I'm in the sea, and I'm swimming. And I'm just getting exhausted.
Yeah.
And I'm making like marginal progress.
Yeah.
And it feels like I'm doing work every day because I'm exhausted. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to lay back.
Yeah.
Let me just lay back, put out my best work, and, let's see what happens. And start getting further. Just by laying back, it was so much more relaxing, and it wasn't exhausting at all because it's almost like doing that whole swimming process is like, I know exactly what needs to be done, I know where I need to go, and I know exactly what the process is going to be. And the truth is, you don't.
Yeah.
You just got to make that first step, put your best foot forward, and kind of go with the flow. It's like kind of like catching a slipstream and just seeing where the wind takes you.
Yeah, but also it's like. So another thing that my friend once told me is like, he went on this course and I can't remember exactly what the course was about, but there was this analogy of like, very similar to what you just said, is like you're on one island and there's another island, in the distance, and you have to get to that island and you can choose any means necessary. And there was like 30 people in the room. So it's like, okay, Ryan, what do you say? You're going to say, I'm going to swim. I might be like, well, I'm going to build a boat and row over. The next person might be like, well, I'm going to get a jetpack. The next person might be like, I'm going to surf. The next person, whatever, all different ways. And the whole theory is like, it doesn't matter like where you're starting and where you're trying to get to. It doesn't matter how you get there because there's so many different types of ways to do it. It is that you get there, which is the important thing. And it's like, if you're swimming, you're obviously going to take a little bit longer. Yeah. If you've got a jetpack, it's going to be a bit quick or whatever. So it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like the journey is the journey. Like the important thing is that you're working towards getting to that point, and eventually you'll get to that point. And there's so many different ways it can happen. There's not like one set route or one set way of doing it because that's life. And that's when I heard that, I was like, I'm going to steal that for so many things. But it was so true.
No, it's a really good visualization. Yeah. And going back to what you said about having that big goal and then kind of changing your mind about it halfway through. It's like you might swim halfway and be like, you know what? I actually like that island back there. Like sometimes the goal leads you to actually where you were. It's always like in The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Where it's like happiness is where you are, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can go all the way around the world to find happiness just to get back to where you were and be like, oh, this was actually it the whole time.
Yeah.
You know? I was going to ask as well with Dreamer's Disease, and this kind of relates to your why, I suppose. And it relates to your experience having a breakdown. And I've been through similar experiences as well. The hardest thing, and obviously this is something that most media outlets try and get the message out on, is if you've got if you're going through depression, things like that, speak out. Just like ask for help. When you're on the other side of the fence and you're not in that state, it's really easy to say, ask for help. When you're in that state, that is literally the hardest thing to do, because it's almost like you're in like a darkness or a silence. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to even just utter the words or to acknowledge what's going on in your mind. Like, I'm very lucky to have a partner that makes sense of the things that happen in my mind. You said, let's say it's a very lonely journey, right? And it can be. But even after 13 years, it's hard for me to, when I get into that state, because it still happens. Like you said, it goes from it being 10 out of 10 days to being 2 out of 10 days. To pluck the courage up to actually say what's going on in your mind, because it doesn't necessarily make sense. It's going to be gibberish. It might be gibberish, but it's them kind of speaking it back to you and asking you the right questions, and it kind of like, it's therapy basically.
Yeah,
it's therapy. With dreamer's disease, how is that going to be a big part of it in terms of making it easier for people to get that out of their heads, or speaking up?
Yeah, I guess like in a way, because it won't be like, you know, there's not going to be like a certain part of the platform. It's like come and, you know, open up to, well, there will be, but like not in that way. It'll be more like just through the amount of positivity and sharing and stories and whatever it is and quotes and videos, like you'll see that people have gone through, are going through, will go through similar things. So it's like making you feel like you are less alone in the sense of like, oh, why am I going through this?
Yeah.
Like, because other people do. So hopefully it will inspire people to turn to their friend and say, do you know what, I've been having a really hard time lately, or speak to their parents, or phone, you know, whatever hotline, or reach out to someone, you know, who's done amazing things that they feel like they can relate with, or writing stuff down. Like, if you don't want to talk stuff out with people, like write it down. And you know, I had a girl called Natasha Benjamin on my podcast, who's a kind of, I don't know how you would, like a self-care kind of coach in a way. And one of her main things is like, if you can't talk it out with people, write it out. Like, if you can't write it out, there's other means. You know, it's just finding the best way for you to be able to take stuff from your head and put it elsewhere, basically, because that process does become very therapeutic, because what you end up getting is stuck in a whirlwind of thoughts.
Exactly.
And that spiral of negativity can be very dark and deep and can happen very quick. So it's about acknowledging it. It's about accepting it. And the most important thing for me, and I spoke to a friend about this recently, is not saying, I want to be better, I want to fix it, I want to, because that's not the case. You don't get better, you don't fix it. You accept it and you work on it, and it will always be there. Like for me, like I said, still 2 out of 10 days or whatever, I'll have a bad day, and I have to accept that. You know, that is me. That's how my mind works. That might even be my body giving me a message or whatever. So it's about accepting that is part of you, because the more you try to fight it, the more you use those words of like, I want to be better, I want to be fixed, the more friction it causes.
Absolutely.
So the less you do of that and the more accepting you are of it, the more you can then start to understand it. And once you start to understand it, you can then start working backwards on like, okay, how can I now use this understanding to take me forward? And that was the whole process I had to go through.
Definitely. So I'm going to shift gears a bit just into what state you're in when you're creating, because this is for the creators. Are there any like particular creative rituals you have or anything like that?
Not really, because I do a lot of it when I get home from work, really. I give myself like a 3-hour window to do as much as I can before I start to feel like really tired, and you know, concentration is a lot harder. So what I've started to do is try to plan out the week. So on like a Sunday evening or a Monday night, I've got a whiteboard in my room and I've got the days marked out: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'll go for, okay, what have I got to do this week? I've got to record this, I've got to do this write-up, I've got to send this newsletter, I've got to I've got to reply to these emails, I've got to chase this person. And I'll write it all down on my whiteboard in the days that it's achievable. So like a Monday, if I've got to record an In Focus session, which is like my shorter mini episodes, I'll try and write something on the Monday, record it on the Tuesday for it to go out on the Thursday. So I try and split things up, and then I might say I've got to reply to this email, I might do that on the Monday. Then I've got to do the artwork for the Thursday episodes, I might do that on the Wednesday, or I might have to cut some video clips, I might do, and it's just looking at my week and going, actually this Thursday I'm out, so I can't do something. So it's like
shift things around.
Shifting around. Okay, actually Friday I'm a bit more free, or Wednesday I'm not doing anything, or Tuesday. So it's about looking at what I've got, so that when I get home, I'm not thinking like, oh, what have I got to do? I know, I go in my room, I get changed, I look at my board, and I go, cool, I've got 1, 2, 3 things to do. I'm going to go do them. And I sit down and I put that time and energy into doing them. And if anything else is born out of that, it's born out of it. But I try not to get distracted from those 2 or 3 things that I've set out to do that evening. And I just find it helps me be really productive. And it's hard. And like, you know, but with that productivity and with that fulfillment and that felt really good to complete that, comes the creativity, because you then start to, because I know when I get home I have to be productive for like 2-3 hours. So during the day I have a lot more of my creative thinking. So for example, I go to the gym in the mornings. That's when I have probably some of my best ideas in the gym, because my head's clear, I'm working out, I'm not really thinking about anything other than whatever exercise I'm doing or whatever podcast I'm listening to, and just ideas pop into my head. So just write them down on my phone, then I might return to them later. Yeah. But that's when, like, you know, when it works best for me. But it's like, just, I guess, it's an understanding thing. It's knowing, it's being self-aware. I know that those 3 hours in my evening are super important to get stuff done, because I don't really have any other time. So I get home at, say, like 6:30. I give myself a 10 p.m. cut-off point. You know, we'll have dinner in that time as well. Yeah. So 10 p.m. is always my cut-off point. And then I might chill for like half an hour, 45 minutes before I go to bed. Then I've got a whole like bedtime ritual, like, you know, brush my teeth, then I meditate, and then I might do some more I might do some more reading, then I might meditate, or then I'll do meditate, then I go to sleep. But I do that as much as I can every night, particularly in the meditation. Morning.
Have you found that's helped?
Amazing. I love it, man. Like, if I don't meditate for like, I'm normally quite good at doing it every day. It's only if if I'm away, that's when I get out of sync with it, because, you know,
you're not part of your framework that you designed.
But you try and fit it in. But that's been one of the most helpful things for me, just to have that moment. And sometimes I do it beginning and end of the day. Yeah. I try and do 10 minutes at the start of the day.
Is it guided, like Headspace?
Yeah, Headspace. Yeah.
I find Headspace to be
so good.
The best one that I've tried.
It's so good
because of the whole acceptance part of it. Because you think of meditation, you think of, I need to have a clear mind. I guess that's the whole kind of stigma behind it. But it's not. It's sitting with your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
But not necessarily latching onto them.
Yeah,
like exactly. We do. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. And like, I do something different. I'll go on a morning walk, which is kind of like an active form of meditation, I suppose, but getting into that gratitude state. And it's basically like a single focus mindset, right? But the days that I don't, well, I've done it like every day for like a year plus. But before, when I was getting into the habit, the days that I didn't, because I tried doing it for like 2 weeks, feeling really good, feeling equipped, because things happen all the time, but having that, you know, the tools to deal with things. Yeah. And then not doing it and seeing what kind of habits that I then fell back into like a darkness and stuff. I was like, no, I've got to do this all the time. And I suppose it's the same with
I mean, it's a lot easier now, because I've, you know, on my Headspace, I've done like nearly 4,000 minutes of meditation.
Wow.
So I've done it a lot.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm gonna have to add you as a friend.
Yeah.
On there. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever added anyone.
Yeah, neither have I.
But it's like, it just helps. And now it does mean that, because I'm now doing the Pro Pack on Headspace. Have you done that? Yeah. So that's where you basically do it yourself. There's no guidance. You sit down.
Oh no! Yeah. So I thought, because I know they've got different packs in terms of like guides and stuff.
Yeah. So you know, there's like, they're all themed. There's like
creativity or focus
or anxiety or whatever. Like, I think when you get to a certain amount, I think we get to 3,000 minutes. 3,000 minutes. It unlocks the Pro Packs, and that is literally like the first 10. So there's like 6 levels, and each of them's got 10 sessions. So the first 10 sessions, he still guides you, but less and less. But then by the time you start the second pack, it's like, right, he sets you up. He goes, you know, at the beginning, he's like, okay, now take some deep breaths. Yep. You know, soft focus, very rare. That is it. You do not hear him until the end, when he says, and now open your eyes. So you've got that whole 10-minute window of going through that whole process yourself. And that's hard, because that's when you're really sitting with your thoughts. Yeah. And that's been wicked, man. I've really enjoyed them ones.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, because obviously when you hear his voice, it kind of it brings you back.
Yeah. Because even sometimes he does bring you back mid exercise. He'll be like, and remember to,
yes,
So when you're doing the pro packs, like, you don't get that. It's like, it's you and you only. And it's probably the easiest ones he's recorded.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're wicked. They are wicked.
No, it's definitely really powerful, man. That's really cool. So it sounds like in order for you to be creative, you set yourself framework.
Yeah. Like, I think I did a podcast, an in focus session on my podcast recently about self-discipline and how having that self-discipline, although you think self-discipline and creativity are like opposites, actually they enable each other.
100%.
Like, if you're creative, you need to be self-disciplined to rein it in. And if you're self-disciplined, it allows you more time to be creative because you're getting other stuff done in the moments where you're not being creative or whatever.
100%. And it's like life inspires. So, for example, you said you get most of your inspiration when you're at the gym. You're not doing anything that's creative, but because your body's doing something else, it allows your mind to be free, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. Are there any books or podcasts or videos or like resources that you shared the most with people that...
Books, I would say The Miracle Morning is very good.
I've heard of that. Who's...
It's by... I can't remember his name now.
I'll find it. I'll stick it up
it's
in
called The
links.
Miracle Morning. It's really super easy to find. And it's basically, the whole principle of it is 6 things that you should do every morning as a ritual. And it's... So they're called lifesavers, so SAVERS. So S is for silence and meditation. E is for exercise. Silence. A is for affirmations. V is for visualization. E, exercise. R, reading. And S, scribing, i.e. writing.
Like journaling.
So he's like, you should do those 6 things every morning before 8 a.m. So you're setting yourself up for your day before your day's begun.
Definitely.
So that's something that I've started to incorporate. Not like strictly all of those things. Like, I tried. It can be tough, but you know, meditation I try. If I don't do the meditation, I do breathing exercises while I'm in the shower after the gym. Affirmations, I need to rewrite mine, and because they got a bit repetitive, so I need to rewrite them. But I was doing that every morning before I left the house.
Yep.
Visualization, again, probably in the shower. E, exercise, gym or yoga. Reading, I do on the tube. And writing, I did have a gratitude journal that I was writing in every day.
Yeah.
And just writing 3 to 5 things that I felt grateful for every day. And it just could be anything. It could be like, I feel grateful for the roof over my head, or I feel grateful for the cup of tea that I had yesterday, or I'm grateful for, you know, whatever. Having an able body to be able to exercise, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And doing that. So I was doing it, and it was really helpful. But again, it's discipline. That's what it is.
Definitely. I think I do like four or 5 of those.
Yeah.
Before 8.
Yeah.
And that's what's made the massive difference.
Yeah.
But the 5-minute journal.
Yeah.
The app.
Yeah.
That probably does like 3 of those.
Yeah, probably.
So it does the journaling, it does the gratitude, and the affirmation.
Yeah, I probably need to get that.
Yeah,
so they're the 3 that I
tend to
struggle
do that.
with the most.
Yeah,
but
so that's good because it gives you notifications on.
Yeah,
it kind of nudges you on when to do it, and I don't do it every day, but it really does.
Yeah,
because it doesn't even take 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it probably takes a minute to be honest. But yeah, that's been really helpful.
So I'd say that's a wicked book. There was one that you said The Alchemist earlier. Have you read The Celestine Prophecy?
I have it, but I haven't read it.
That's a wicked book.
Yeah.
It's in a similar vein to Alchemist, in the sense that it's a fictional story, but there's a message behind it.
Right.
And it's all about understanding the energies within the universe, in the world, or the universe, I suppose. Yeah, same thing. That's really powerful. I've read that recently and I loved it.
Yeah.
I honestly loved it. I'm going to reread it. I'm reading a book at the minute which is quite interesting if you're in the kind of position that I am in, called How to Be a Productivity Ninja, and it's about keeping super organized and productive. So it's about, I'm on the section about how to keep organized. So like how to organize, you might have loads of notes on your phone, or you might have loads of projects that you're working. It's like how to organize it all, and keep it intact, and make sure you're on top of things. Yeah. But the whole I'm about halfway through the book, but it's pretty like it's actually really practical. It's really good.
That's good.
What else is there? There is Lewis Howe's books are really good. School of Greatness and The Mask of Masculinity is an incredible book.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that's a really good one.
And then I'm going to shout out my G, Chidera, the Slumflower's got her own book, What a Time to Be Alone.
Yeah, I saw that. We had Yinka on recently as one of our guests, and I saw on her Instagram maybe yesterday. Yeah, she done a blog post about it.
Yeah,
I need to pick that up.
Wicked, get that. That's for sure.
What a time to be alone. Yeah, especially nowadays, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And is there any others? I mean, there's loads, but they're good starting points.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mask of Masculinity. That's because it relates to what we were talking about.
Oh, mate, that book spoke to me in so many ways, man.
100%.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, honestly, like I'm very fortunate in that last summer I went out to LA and I managed to meet Lewis.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I managed to meet him through a friend who put us in contact, and I had like a half an hour sit down chat with him.
Wow.
And he was like super amazing. So we've I've stayed in touch with him. Like every now and then I'll just drop him an email. Oh, I saw this thing you were doing, looks amazing.
Because he's got a TV show coming.
Yeah, here's what I'm
Facebook
up to. So when I read the book, I had to like email them. I was like, bro, like that book was incredible. Like it spoke to me so like on such a level. Like I'm so happy a book like that exists because I know it's gonna help so many guys in our positions.
Trust me.
Yeah, that was like good.
So good. And it's funny. Lewis actually replied to one of, what was it? Something I was doing. I think it was the podcast. And it was just nice that, I don't know if he's listened or anything, but he acknowledged, which is cool. And it's like, you're one of the reasons why I started this as well. Because I was in New York a few years back on that kind of transition period. And I think this is just when he started the School of Greatness podcast, because he was maybe like 30 episodes in or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I was on my sister's couch and, I didn't know what to do and stuff. And it was cool to see his whole journey from there. And then obviously being an avid listener, knowing that he wanted to be a New York Times bestseller, going through that whole process on the first book. And then I remember I think I bought a book from one of my cousins. I didn't even read it myself, but I just knew it was good for him because he's an athlete. And just following the whole journey and seeing it now, it's just...
It's mad, isn't it?
Insane, but it relates to the whole, this is about uplifting people. And it is about, and he would say, it's about getting messages like what you did for him, getting those emails.
Yeah, exactly.
Writing a book because you're happy that book exists because it speaks to you. And I haven't stumbled on any books that are like that.
Yeah, but it's also like if you are appreciative of something, like why not tell that person? It's like I remember listening to which unfortunately turned out quite bad for him, the Reggie Yates interview on Half Cast. And I was like, this is like one of the most incredible chats and interviews I've ever heard. Like it was just so uplifting, it was so powerful, and the whole thing was just like I just felt so good after listening to it. And it's unfortunate that one little tiny moment in the whole conversation got picked up on for what I think was a wrong reason, but whatever.
Agreed.
But I DM'd Reggie and I was like, I just wrote him this thing saying, mate, that was so incredible. Like, but then this is before the news story. Like, such an amazing interview, so powerful, so uplifting, not knowing if he's going to reply or not. And he probably didn't even read it, but I was like, I felt like I had to send that message. I had to send that message because if he did read it, then he'll be like, oh, okay, I'm doing the right things, or he might have seen it or ignored it or whatever. But for me, I felt like I had to somehow express that to him. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's important. Like if you do feel like there's people who are inspiring you or making you feel good or something that you can appreciate, like tell them, man. Like I leave comments on like people's posts all the time. Like, they might be really close friends, or they might be people I've met in the last year through the podcast. Like if I see something like, pretty much all of the Slumflowers posts about her book, there'll be a comment from me saying, this is incredible. You're a superstar. You're such a queen. Like, because why not, man?
Exactly.
Like, if that's what I'm thinking, why not say it?
Absolutely.
I'd rather put the positive shit out there than the negative shit. Do you know what I mean? And that's all I want. All I want is for people to associate anything they see with me with positivity or inspiration. And if that's what I can achieve, then I'm happy. And if I get those messages, I'm over the moon.
Definitely. definitely. And the whole thing is being uplifting, and it's authentic.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing it for any other reason but to uplift.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
And it's helping me like live this better version of myself, you know, like I feel like I'm walking around now on like a high all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think that energy is now feeding on to other people in the sense that they can see it in me, and it's helping them see me in a different light, and then it's helping me to interact with them in a different way.
Positive feedback loop.
Yeah, even if it's just like, it might just be a hello or how you doing. Like that hello, how you doing, all of a sudden doesn't feel so, you know, when you're like inauthentic, like when you're at work and you pass someone in the kitchen, you're like, oh, how you doing? Yeah, good, thanks.
Yes.
It's like, I'm saying it from a genuine place, like, how are you? Or like, I've got friends that I'll message who are like, you know, on this journey themselves, and they'll be like, how you doing? They'll be like, yeah, I'm cool. I'll be like, no, how are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? And then I got one message back from my friend Megan, and she was like, oh, I'm so glad you asked, because like I've had a really shit week and did it. And it's like, cool, like, let's talk. Do you know what I mean? So
that's why we're here, exactly.
It's about putting that stuff out there, man.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. We asked this question to all of our guests.
Yeah.
If you could, obviously, like going through your whole journey now, and it's been a really filled up journey.
Yeah.
Feels like 2 or 3 lives in there.
Man, tell me about it. The maddest thing is, I've just turned 30, and like I do not feel 30 at all. Like, to me, it's not even a scary place to be, like 30. I'm like,
before we go into this next question, actually, don't you think that's such a funny thing?
Yeah.
The weight of 30.
Yeah.
Because
we're told it is.
I know. It's so weird though. Like obviously I'm like 30 odd, but going through that whole journey, and it's like, I wrote a blog post about it as well, and the whole idea about it was a letter to my younger self, or was it? But it was more of, why do we trust our younger self, our 15-year-old self? Like the things that I said at 15, that I'm going to do this by 30, this by 30, I'm going to have this by 30. If a 15-year-old came in now and asked and looked at your life and said, but why don't you have this? Why don't you do this? Why haven't you got this? You're 30 years old. You'd be like, what the hell do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, why do we hold the value of our own opinion at 15-year-old?
Yeah.
Like that holds the key to our happiness almost at that age. And it's like, just let that shit go, man.
Yeah.
Like that was just an idea you had. Like you really you knew what you knew, but you didn't know what you know now.
And for me, that's the important thing. It's like knowing what you know now, but it's not about how old you feel. It's about how much energy you have to give to whatever it is you want to give it to. And in turn, that makes you feel young, or whatever you want to call it. And honestly, like I said, man, I've you know, I know people who are my age that I've grown up with, and they've got 2 kids in a house, and you know, they've like completed life in a way, you know. And I'm like, I'm chilling, I'm really happy, I'm doing things that I'm really passionate about.
Yes.
I'm meeting amazing people and connecting with people all the time. I'm able to like have some sort of positive influence over a small audience of people or whatever, and that makes me feel great. And it not only makes me feel great, it makes me feel like I am, like I said, on this high all the time. And that equates to me not feeling like a typical 30-year-old should feel. Like, you should have this, you should have that, you should be doing this. It's like, it's not about that. Like, I'll go out and party as hard as I did when I was 21, 22, because I feel like I can, because I feel like I've got the energy to give. Or I'll go out and I'll, you know, do whatever. And I don't feel like the age is a thing, because it's not. It's just a number. It's just an indication of how much wisdom you have. Yeah. That's what I say. Definitely. Like I was telling everyone, when I turned 30, I was like, I'm 30 years wise. That's it. 30 years. Not 30 years old, 30 years wise. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's how I see it, man. Like, that's a good one. You know, I'm hoping that when I get to 50, I still feel exactly the same, and I feel like I'm 50 years wise, and I'm still able to enjoy and do the things that I love and be as passionate about everything. And if I am, then sick. If not, then I hope I'm onto some even higher level of, you know, experience or enjoyment or whatever it is that I don't even know exists yet. I think you will be, because you've made those key. You've asked the right questions from now. Are you going to get back into a state where you're not asking the right questions, having asked the right questions? I highly doubt it. And also, I feel, do you know what it is? I've just had a thought. Like, I feel like we look for the wrong things. Like, so when you say, "Oh, when you're 50, what you're going to be doing? Most people's answers would be like, well, I'll be married with like a few kids. It's like, but if you're living your life and that's not the path that's set out for you, like, if you don't want to get married and you don't feel like you, and I'm not saying I do or I don't, but I'm just saying in general, like, then don't feel like that's the pressure of what a 50-year-old's life should look like.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to get to 50 and be married or not. Like, if it happens along the way, fantastic. If it doesn't, fantastic. As long as I'm loving what I'm doing, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
You know?
At the end of the day, no one knows.
Exactly.
We like to think that we do. Like, it kind of goes back to the whole 15-year-old thing. We think that we know.
Yeah.
But you don't. Yeah. So, yeah, actually, so the question is...
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, it's cool. Because, that all relates. If you could speak to yourself on the last day of year 11, last day of high school, essentially, what would you tell yourself?
Just don't worry about it. Chill. Life will happen. Life will happen. That's it. Just chill. Just trust in it all. Believe in it all. And you'll find your way, man.
Trust and believe.
That's it. Like, that's how I just see everything. It's like, that's how, like, and I think when I was in year 11, I had, obviously I hadn't quite seen that yet. And I was probably on the journey to the negative side of where my life went from that age. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am now. You see what I mean? So it's like, that's why I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Not one thing. Apart from maybe I would have, when I left school at 18, I went to Brazil for 3 months. And I stayed, we were working in like a program. And then I basically came straight back to London. I would have stayed there for a bit longer and travelled. That's the only thing in my life I would change. And probably learn to speak more Italian. But other than that, like, I wouldn't change any experience or any like particular thing. I wouldn't say, oh, you should have gone to study this, or you should have started your podcast earlier, or you should have set up a YouTube page when YouTube first started and now you'd be like a multi-billionaire or whatever. Like, I wouldn't change any of that because I wouldn't be who I am. Like, all of that, all of those good things have a massive effect on me. All of the bad things have had a massive effect on me. They left me scarred. They've left me, uplifted. They've, whatever it is, man. Like, that's how it's panned out. And it's like, if you don't have that belief, and if you can't start to see that belief, and that's either the journey, then you won't get to that point either. So it's just like, chill, believe, and trust in the journey.
Love that.
Should be my new motto.
Yeah. Chill, trust, and believe in your journey.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, man. That's really powerful. And that just reminded me of what I was meant to say before. Literally, that's how far the train of thought was. But yeah, the thought was there is value in having a breakdown.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's where you learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Sit with it. Understand it. You're there for a reason, and you're gonna get through it, and you're gonna. It sounds cliche, but you're actually gonna be stronger because of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get lessons. You're gonna discover parts about yourself that you hadn't because you're in a breakdown.
Yeah.
And it's essential. It's so essential, like you said. Like, your path led you where it did, but had you not done all of that, you wouldn't have learned the lessons about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where you are today.
Yeah, and it's like you learn a lot more from your losses than you do from your successes. Because when you have success, it's like everything's cool. You don't ever feel like you need to change anything. But when you lose, then you're like, okay, cool. How can I do this differently? How can I win next time?
Yep.
And that mainly comes, from anyone who's done sports. That's like a real sports mentality.
Yes.
And there's a very famous Michael Jordan quote that I always get wrong, but I'm going to try and recite it anyway, not verbatim. But like, he basically says, in my career, I've missed thousands of chances. I've been trusted with the match-winning shot and missed X amount of times. And I've done this, and I've failed at this, and I've failed at that. But that's why I'm successful. That's why I succeeded. It's because all of those things built him up and built him stronger and helped him to learn and helped him become better. So like, those breakdown moments that you have in your life, and it goes back to what I was saying about, that's the time where you strip everything back and you look at yourself in the rawest, because at that moment in time, you feel like nothing can get worse. So if nothing's going to get worse, things can only get better. So that's the moment where you go, actually, how do I get better from here? How do I start to believe in better? How do I start to help myself get to a better position? And if you don't go through that, that breakdown moment, you'll never go through that process of, you know, building from the ground up. You're not starting from zero because you're already up there, and that's cool. If you are, you're cool. That's fine. You know, I'm very happy for you. I'm very pleased for you, and I'm very like, you know, I'm very thankful that you haven't had to go through that, because that's a horrible journey into the darkness. You know, so, but if you do go through it, it is a massive learning curve, and it's a massive opportunity to better yourself, essentially.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And I haven't been through it many times.
Yeah.
It feels like it's almost like that is the only way. I learn by losing, or learn by failing. But it's not failing or losing. It's learning. That's how you learn, right?
Exactly.
That's what you use going forward. This has been such a powerful conversation, man. Could go on for hours, but great. Yeah, no, it's been really good. So where can people firstly like hear your podcast? Where should they go to for your website, etc.?
So the podcast, if you use iTunes or you use Spotify or you use pretty much wherever you get your podcast from, just search Dreamer's Disease or Alex Manzi, because I think on Spotify you have to search my name for some reason. It's weird. If you search Dreamer's Disease or Alex Manzi, you'll find a podcast online. On Facebook, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I am Alex Manzi. Through that, you'll find the Dreams Disease accounts. And yeah, that's it. The website's thedreamersdisease.co.uk. Got a live event coming up in September on the 13th, which is a live show at the London Podcast Festival with a guest who I haven't announced yet, so I won't yet. But tickets to that are like $9.50, I think. And it's going to be a wicked night. Like just it's going to be powerful shit, man. It's going to be hearing someone's story, some Q&A. Yeah. You know, just photos, moments, like just fun stuff and uplifting stuff. And everyone will hopefully come out of that room feeling uplifted, inspired, motivated, and that they possibly have learned something along the way. So
I think that will be cool. I think it will.
Tickets to that, if you go on my Instagram, the link in my bio, tickets are there, and that'd be super cool. Definitely. Well, we're gonna get tickets. We'll check the diary, obviously, but yeah, I think we'll definitely want to come down to that for sure. Very last question that we ask everyone. So now you've gone through the For the Creators experience. Who would you be interested in hearing answer the same kind of questions? It's a very good question, actually. I would say. So many people, man. Because I just like in my head, I'm just going through my list of people I want to interview. Yeah. So it's like, it's mad. But I would say like someone who's quite like an introspective artist would be quite interesting. Like someone who's quite conscious, like a Wretch. Yeah. Yes. Wretch would be dope. Wretch would be dope. And he's a wicked guy. Yeah. He'd be wicked. Yeah. Because he's, you know, always been quite a conscious MC. He's going through like more of a spiritual journey as well at the minute. So yeah, I'm going to shout him, actually. That makes a lot of sense. That'd be super fun. I've worked with him. Have you? Yeah. I have 3-1 extra. So yeah. I was with him on the weekend. Oh, dope. Yeah, so he'd be cool. That would be sick. Yeah, I'm gonna DM him for sure. Do it. Brilliant, man. Thank you so much for your time. I think everyone's going to feel the power of the Dreamer's Disease. Hopefully, in this podcast. And I appreciate you having me on because it means a lot. And, you know, just we're both trying to do the same kind of thing. So, like, you know, showing that love and support for each other and stuff is cool, man. It's like, absolutely, man. And this is what I was saying to my partner as well, my business partner. Yeah. And is that if the mission is to uplift, that's the mission. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many people are doing it. Exactly. You know, if you're doing it and we're doing it, we're uplifting. So it's mission accomplished. Exactly. That's what it's about. 100%. Yeah. Cool, man. Appreciate it and thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, follow Alex online. I'm going to stick up all the links in the description. Again, guys, if you like this episode, and I'm sure you did, please review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you hear this podcast. DM us, follow us on Instagram. It's not your average Instagram profile. You're going to get something that's really creative on there every single day. Motivation.
and all of that as well. That's at For The Creators Podcast, and on Twitter we're at @for_the creators. Thank you guys, and thanks again, Alex.
Thank you.